Here's what's up on a Monday edition of the program. We had on the Bryant Heating Cooling Systems fan guest hotline conversation with the boss, the general manager of Columbus Blue Jackets. It's Don Waddell, and he joins us. Don, thank you so much for taking the time. One thing we do here on the show is we always set kind of a standard of how we're going to judge teams. You've been on the job for about a year, and you've taken it all in, and you just conducted the draft. So you've got a lot of work already in, and a lot more to do this summer. Where do you view your roster and this franchise right now?
Well, I think we're in a pretty good place for, everything we went through last year, how I felt like we took a big step last year for multiple reasons. One is our young players, all of them to a man, I thought were better last year than they have been. And that's just the growing. It's not that we did anything magical. It's the growing of young players and then supplementing with the veterans that we added. We're headed in the right direction. Are we there yet? Absolutely not. Everything takes a little time to keep adding pieces every summer, and we did that when we were looking for a right shot center all year, and we're able to trade for Charlie Coyle, and Miles Wood.
Yeah, that's the other. You see a move like that, and you say, okay, well, that fits right in there. You talk about a right shot center, and it fits right in there. I think Blue Jacket fans, just big picture, are. I think you see the young talent. It blossomed so well this past season, and there's all of us, we lack patience, don't we, Don? And let's go right now. But you have to have both the immediate and the big picture in mind. Compared to where you were a year ago, are you further along than maybe you thought you would be in terms of the roster that was here, and then this Coyle trade that happened over the weekend only adding to it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. We've taken steps for sure. When I came here last year, you're always wondering how these next guys, the Fantillis and Kent Johnsons and Marchenko and Matejchuk came up 30 games in a year and making all rookie teams. So to be able to see those guys take that big step, and they're going to continue to grow. But they only grow because you surround them with good people and good veterans. You got Monahan and Boone Jenner and, Werenski, of course. When you have these type of guys continue to teach these young players and not only on the ice but off the ice, it makes me feel good that we are going in the right direction. You got to look at it. My position, you're looking at it, we want to be better this year. I think we're better as we sit here today. Mm-hmm. But you also got to look at the next 4 or 5 years because we're going to have some big contracts come up with our young players. We never want to put ourselves in a position where we can't keep your young players as they develop, and you have to sign them long term. So certainly we have, I always work off a 5-year plan. Doesn't mean that we're not going to go off that plan sometimes, but we all want to be better. That's for sure. That's number one, and we feel like we've made some steps to be better. If you go back last year, as a team, we stuck together. We, right in March there, we're in a playoff spot. We're going through a bad spell for 5 or 6 games, and then we kicked it back up toward the end of the year. So we got to build off all that. We're not satisfied with missing the playoffs. We're satisfied that we're taking that step, and I feel like we're heading in the right direction.
Don, I think certainly some folks in the hockey world thought that maybe those 2 draft picks that you guys had in the first round would not be taken by you. How close were you to a deal with those 2 first-round picks, or maybe one of those 2 first-round picks?
Yeah, we tried like heck, I got to tell you. This is a different year. With the cap going up this year and continuing to go up, everybody's looking to trade for players. They weren't as interested in draft picks as you see. There's very few drafts, very few trades happen. I think it was the least amount of trades ever happened on draft day or leading up to it because everybody's looking for players. There's not as many players on the free agent market because with the cap going up, people are keeping their own players. So totally different year. Years past, you'd had a lot of teams that were in cap problems, had to move contracts. This year, it's been very few teams that have put themselves in that spot. So, as much as we wanted to, we could have made some trades with it, but we didn't feel comfortable that those are the right moves to make. So we ended up keeping our picks and feel really good about the players we selected. Now there's other ways you got to address your needs.
Talking to Blue Jacket General Manager Don Waddell. Read some of your quotes over the weekend with from Porty about three of the top 14 players on your board. You end up with those three picks. Have you ever had, I mean, the last one you pick at 76, have you ever had that happen where you're able to kind of get that type of haul that really was a big boost for your board?
No, never I've ever had a player listed, I think 14th on our list, or 14th or 15th that we got in the third round like we did. Now, we're all going to know the story 3, 4, 5 years from now. But, you got to trust your scouts too. This is what these guys are pros at. They work all year for this purpose. And, our head amateur scout, Billy Soren, really was big on Boss. And so when we had the opportunity to trade up when he was still on the board, we felt, I always say if there's a player you really want, you got to do everything you can to try to either trade up or draft them. Just like the goalie we drafted at 20. Some people thought we took that too high, but we didn't have a pick until the fourth round. We really wanted this guy, and if I trade back 5 or 6 spots, maybe he's still there, but then if he falls right in front of you, then you're mad that you picked up a fourth round pick and lost your player. So that's why we stepped up. Everybody was 100% on this goalie. I went down the weekend before and interviewed him, watched him practice in Fort Lauderdale, along with our scouts. And we certainly wanted to add a top goalie into our mix. Goalies take a while. He's 18 years old. It's going to take him some while to get here, but that's okay. His development path will be good. He's actually just flew in town this morning. He's here, which is a good sign, and we'll continue to move forward.
Talking about Andreanov, Don, what is the, just so the fans understand, just 18, obviously, so just a kid, and you mentioned the long time. What is his contract situation in terms of best case scenario? When would he be over here? I know he has a KHL conflict, obviously.
Yeah, he's got a 5-year contract with an out potentially after year 4. Okay. So we think and he's going to play in the top league in Russia. It's certainly not the NHL, but it's a damn good league. So his development there, he'll be the number 1 guy as he was last year and playing in the men's league. It's a very good league. So we think that development is going to be real strong for him, and hopefully it will pan out for us in the future.
Don, defenseman Jackson Smith at 14. What did you like about his game? How does he fit in?
Well, today, defenseman, it's all about puck moving, right, and skating. And he's an elite skater, moves the puck, chips in, obviously, a lot of points offensively. But, the left in your own zone, we watch it with Werenski and Fabro playing together. The less time they spend in our zone, their offensive numbers are from point are good. But we look at it as zone possession time, and they spend almost 2-to-1 time in the offensive zone than they do in the defensive zone. It's because they can move the puck and catch and join the rush. So that's when you look at a guy like Jackson that this is what he does. Now there's going to be a development period, of course, for him. But the one thing that he's got is he's got great hockey sense. He's a great skater, and he transports the puck well.
Don, you make the deal as well in terms of Coyle and Wood coming in here. Where do you see those two guys? Obviously, Wood packs the wood and started off to his career to a heck of a start, and hopefully gets a little bit of rejuvenation here. Where do those two guys fit in?
Yeah, Wood had an injury to start the year last year, and then kind of lost his spot, worked his way back in the lineup. But he's speed. He still has the speed, and he's a forechecker, and he likes to hit. And, we know that you need those type of players on your team to go out there, create a little hectic. He did score 17 goals one year. I don't see him scoring 17 goals, but I think he'll be a double-digit kind of guy. So we think he's going to be an impact player for us, whether he plays on the third line or fourth line. Coyle was so important. First of all, we know this player very well. He's an outstanding person, a great leader. And he's a right-hand shot center, which we desperately needed. We were all lefty for the most part last year, and it caught up with us at times. Face-offs probably get overlooked a little bit in the league, but it's important to be able to control the puck. And if you have somebody that can win face-offs, particularly from the right side, that's a great way to start with the puck.
Don, free agency, of course, for our fans starts July 1st. No secrets need to be told here, my friend, but just in terms of your mindset going into free agency, what is it?
Well, it was key that we got Fabro locked up yesterday, and we still have Provolov that we'd love to bring back. We're still in talks up until midnight last night with his agent, trying to see if we can bring him back. He's a true pro. He wants to be here. We want him here. Just we got to agree on a number. Hopefully we get him signed. If we don't, then obviously we're talking about defense all the time. Making sure that we're covered back there. I think up front we're in pretty good shape. We may tweak around the edges there a little bit, but I think overall, the goal was to make sure we added a couple forwards that would be useful for us. We did that the point of the draft.
Great stuff, Don. Thank you so much, and good luck the rest of the way in free agency. And this season will be here before we know it. Thanks for your time today.
Always a pleasure to be with you both. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
All right, there he goes, the great Don Waddell, general manager of your Columbus Blue Jays. It's been a hell of a start. First year in, and now away you go with that build towards something hopefully very, very big. Speaking of opting in, an iconic